All right. Welcome, expecting parents, mamas. Welcome to your prenatal yoga class. My name is Chantel if we haven't met before, and I'll be guiding you through your practice. I am the owner and creator of Yoga Birth and Beyond. I'm a yoga teacher and I'm a birth doula and a mom. So now you know a little bit about who's going to be guiding you. We can set up our space. So setting up your yoga mat. If you have a blanket, lay it so that it's across the middle of your yoga mat. The blanket will be there to help with the knees when we're in a kneeling position. You will also find it more comfortable if you have a bolster or two or big cushions. I've got two of these guys here, and a block that you can put near the top of your mat somewhere. All right, so we'll get started. So before we dive into it, just remember to listen to your body first and foremost. If something just doesn't feel right for whatever reason, back it off, find a modification, do what feels good for you and baby. And I'm just so excited to be able to guide you through this class and be a part of this journey with you. So sitting up nice and tall, you can sit cross-legged or you can straighten the legs out if that feels more comfortable for you. See if you can tilt the pelvis forward slightly. Okay, so the bigger the belly becomes, the more natural this forward tilt starts to become because of the weight in the front. And we're gonna start to settle in on our breath. So you can close your eyes here or soften your gaze. Maybe bring a hand up to the heart, maybe a hand to the belly, and just settle in, paying attention to your natural breath cycle, the rhythm of your inhales and your exhales. Maybe even the beat of your heart. Allowing anything that's been weighing heavy on the mind or on the body to be lifted. Allow it to float away. You can revisit it after the class if need be, or you can just choose to cut it loose for good. Remembering today to only go to about 80% of your maximum so you don't overstretch or injure yourself while that beautiful hormone relaxin is coursing through your body. We can start to allow your exhales to be longer than your inhales. So allow your inhales to be full, filling up the lungs and the abdominal cavity with fresh new air, fresh new energy. And then as you exhale, allow the exhale to be long and complete. Remembering not to hold the breath, but instead allow the breath to continue to flow effortlessly. Maybe allowing the head and the spine to grow a little taller towards the ceiling. Allow yourself to keep this breath practice with you today through the rest of the class. Focusing on your exhales. When you're ready, you can release the palms to the lap. And we're going to take some neck circles. So we're going to start by bringing the chin to the chest, sitting up tall, and allow the back of the neck to create some space. So the weight of gravity pulling the head down towards the ground in front of you creates a nice stretching sensation through the back of the neck. And then we're going to bring the right ear, rolling it towards the right shoulder. Keep the shoulders down though, away from the ears. We're just creating a nice side stretch through the left side of the neck here. You can take any movements that feel good. And we're going to go to the other side. So chin to chest, drawing the circle or semicircle, left ear towards left shoulder. Allow your breath to continue to flow here. Notice if you're holding it or if it's being restricted in any way. And if that's the case, what can you do to come back to a more effortless breath? We're going to take some circles, so go ahead and bring the chin towards the chest and roll the head to one side, maybe even coming back if that feels good, and around. We're going to do this a couple times in one direction. Going as slow as you like. And then we're going to go the opposite direction. Releasing any snap, crackles, or pops through the neck. And then coming back to a neutral neck. All right. And then we're going to do some shoulder shrugs. So inhale, bring the shoulders all the way up to the ears. And then as you exhale, bring them forward and down. All right. Inhale, shoulders up to the ears. And exhale, forward and down. One more time. And we're going to go the other way. So inhale, shoulders up. Exhale, back and down. Two more times. Inhale and exhale. Last one. And exhale. Shake it out. We're going to take a forward fold next. So if you do have a beautiful belly to contend with, then perhaps you're just going to do a small little hinge forward at the hips if there's enough space for that. Or if you have the ability to go deeper, palms can meet the floor, maybe walking them forward, coming into a little forward fold if that feels good. Just being mindful of baby and belly. You can do a little rocking from side to side with the upper body if that feels good. Releasing through the back, especially the lower back and the hips. And then we're going to walk the hands back towards you, rising up. And we're going to switch the cross of the legs. So shake them out and switch the cross. All right, so from here, inhale, arms all the way up overhead, reaching up towards the ceiling. Exhale, right hand to the ground and side bend towards the right. So see if you can keep that top arm maybe in line, the bicep with the ear. And anchoring down through that left hip into the ground. It's not about how deep you go here, it's more about reaching through the side body, creating some traction. We're going to switch sides. Inhale, switch and lengthen, and then exhale, side bend. Be sure to stay soft through the shoulders and the neck here. You can move the head from side to side just to remind your body of this. Maybe smiling or relaxing the jaw and that space between the eyebrows, the eyes. Inhale, switch. Exhale, side bend. This is really, really nice, especially later on in pregnancy when you start to lose real estate in the abdominal cavity. This will help you feel like maybe you have a little more room. Last one, inhale and exhale. Inhale, rise up. Reach the fingertips towards the sky. Gaze can go up, chest can lift. We're going to come into a little twist. So exhale, right hand comes behind you. Left hand can come across, resting on the thigh, staying soft through the belly when you twist. So just allowing the twist to be more of an upper back sort of a sensation as opposed to through the belly. Gaze can go to the side, or perhaps if you feel up to it and it feels easily accessible, you can bring the gaze past the right shoulder behind you. Inhale, lengthen, reaching up through the crown of the head. Exhale, softening into the twist. And then inhale, coming through center, reach, fingertips to the sky. Exhale, twist the opposite direction. Soft through the belly. Use your inhales to lengthen and grow up taller through the spine. Exhales can be used to soften, find space in the body. And we'll do this one more time on each side. So inhale, rise up. A little bit faster. Exhale, twist. Inhale to center, rise on up. And exhale, last one. Inhale through center. And exhale, forward fold. Whatever that looks like for you. Again, feel free to invite in some movement through the upper body if you did so on the other side and it felt great. Do it again here. Okay, and then walking the hands back towards you, rising up. All right, we're going to come to all fours. So when you're ready, making your way to tabletop. So palms underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips, resting on the blanket. We're going to come into some cat-cow. So toes can be tucked under or flat behind you. Inhale, open the chest forward, gaze lifts. Belly can slightly drop towards the ground. So keep in mind to protect the back, the lower back. It's a good idea just to have a light little contraction along the abdominal muscles. So imagining as though you're giving baby a small little hug with your abdominals as you drop the belly and lift the tail. And then exhale, tuck the chin, rounding through the spine. Again, if you're later in pregnancy, the rounding might come just between the shoulders. If you're earlier in your pregnancy, you can allow the spine to round all the way down, curving down to the tailbone. Inhale, coming forward. And feel free to take any movements that feel good here. You can do this traditional cat-cow, matching it with the breath, over and over. Or you can do some hip sways from side to side, or some circles with the abdomen, whatever feels good for you to warm up the spine and the body in general. Okay, whatever you're doing, do one more round of that. And come to a neutral spine, so a nice flat back. So you can sit up on the knees and take some circles through the wrists. Place the hands back down. And we're going to take the hands, actually we're going to bring the block in front of us, okay, so in the middle. So you may not need the block if you're early in your pregnancy, but if you are late second into your third trimester, I would suggest using a block flat on the ground. You can bring the palms onto the block, thumbs to touch, and then we're just going to float the right knee up off of the ground and just create a little rocking motion forward and back, creating some momentum, and eventually we're going to bring the right foot up to the outside edge of the mat. Okay, so coming into a lunge. Inhale, right hand can come to the right thigh as you rise up, lifting the chest. And option number one, you can bring the hands up overhead, reaching up towards the sky. Option number 2, you can interlace the hands behind your back, maybe keeping the elbows bent, opening the chest, or straightening the arms. Up to you. Be careful not to just drop into that front hip joint. Push the ground away from you with that right foot, so you create a little bit of activity through the legs. And breathe. And then release. We'll come back down, hands to the block, a little rock and roll motion, creating some momentum, and then bringing that foot behind you, maybe sliding it on the ground, knee to the mat, little sways from side to side with the hips. And we'll go to the other side. So lift the left knee, hover, and just do a little rock and roll motion. And when you feel ready, bring the foot up to the outside edge of the mat. Make your way up so that your upper body is upright. Again, inhale, you can bring the arms up overhead. Or you can interlace the hands behind you. If you go for the interlacing, see if you can interlace them in the way that it feels weird, the opposite way you did it the first time. And find your pose here. Elbows bent or arms straight, gaze can go up, and breathe. Remember to push the ground away from you with that front foot. And then release, shake out those wrists, palms to the block, rocking forward and back, and bringing that left knee back to the mat. Take any movements that you need here just to reset through the hips. And then we're going to place the hands on the ground in front of the shoulders. We're going to come into downward dog, spreading the fingers wide, pushing into the thumb and pointer finger mounds of the hands. Tuck the toes under. Feet can be wide to make room for baby. Knees can be bent, and push yourself into your down dog. Keep the knees bent to begin with. Nice big inhale here, long spine. Exhale, start to lower the heels towards the ground. One more time, inhale, lift the heels up on the toes. And exhale, push the heels towards the ground. If you are suffering from any kind of blood pressure issues or nausea, option to keep the head lifted, gaze forward, keep the head above the chest, and that'll help you be more comfortable in these semi-inversion poses. All right, and then the next inhale, gaze goes forward, and we're going to take a big half step wide with the feet, halfway up the mat, and then we're going to bend the knees, walk the hands back towards your feet into a little bit of a squat. Forearms can rest on the thighs. And inhale, use the power in your legs to rise all the way up to standing. Perfect. Okay, we can remove the blanket, just bring it to the side. I do plan on using it again, so just keep it handy. And we're going to take a step back with that right foot. Keep your block handy as well to the right side. Okay, so nice step back, and we're going to come into our warrior pose. So the feet are in line with each other. The front heel would intercept the back arch. You're on your imaginary tightrope here, arms extend out. And then just play with the movement of the hips. So swaying them from side to side, maybe making some circles here, creating some movement, and then find what feels neutral to you, a neutral pelvis. Okay, and then lift up through the sides of the body towards the ceiling. Strong and powerful through the legs, arms reaching out in either direction. Gaze can come past the front middle finger, that left middle finger. Breathe. And then we can reach that right hand to the back thigh, or I like to tuck it behind my lower back. Flip the front palm, inhale, a little bit of a side bend here to reverse our warrior. Keep the bend in the front knee. Option is also to maybe hug onto baby with that right hand instead, around the front of the body. Inhale, come on out. And exhale, hands through heart center. Point the toes towards the long edge of your mat. Nice big inhale, swoop the arms up overhead. And exhale, sink it down into a squat. Toes can be pointing out slightly. You could adjust your stance. Whatever you need to do to make this more accessible for you. You can only come down a short little distance if that feels good, or you can come down a ways. Inhale, rise up, swoop the arms overhead, and then exhale, sink it down. One more time. Inhale, and exhale. Hold it. Breathe here. Rise up. Shake off those hips. Shake it out. And we'll go to the other side. So point the right toes towards the front of the mat. You're on your imaginary tightrope with your feet. Bend through the front knee. Extend the arms. Again, move through the pelvis, so the hips from side to side, maybe even little circles. And this just helps to loosen up through the ligaments in the pelvis, so baby can maybe get a better position. And it also helps to find that neutral pelvis. So find neutral, grow the side body up out of that neutral pelvis towards the ceiling, extend the arms, gaze goes past the front middle finger. Legs are strong, anchored into the ground. And breathe. Again, we're going to reverse the warrior, so palm to the thigh, around baby, or around the lower back. Flip the front palm, and inhale, a little side bend, reversing the warrior. Remember to relax through the shoulders here. Keep the bend through that front knee. You can always shorten the stance. So if you're feeling heavy through the pelvic floor, please just shorten the stance a little bit. Heel toe that back foot in a little bit more so the feet are closer together. And that should help take the pressure off. Last breath here. And then inhale, rise on out. And exhale, hands to heart center. Point the toes. And we're going to actually grab the blanket here. If you don't have a blanket, you can always roll up your mat. We just want to create a little ledge for your feet to rest on for the pose after this pose. So we're setting it up halfway down the mat, or halfway in between the mat. So feet flat on the ground for this next pose, hands to heart center, inhale, lift up. And then as you exhale, squat down into that goddess squat we just did. So option, you can just take full goddess if you want, bending at the elbows, fingers active towards the sky, or you can bring the hands to the thighs and we'll take some twists. Inhale, lengthen through the chest. Exhale, twist to the right, dipping the left elbow down as you gaze up past the right shoulder. Inhale up through center. Exhale, twist the other way. One more time on each side. Inhale and exhale. Last one. Inhale and exhale. Inhale, rise up to standing. Shake it out. And then this is where the blanket comes in. So keep your stance wide still, a little wider than hips width. Feet can be still pointing or toes can be pointing out slightly. And you only want about half of your foot, the back half of your foot on the blanket. And we're going to come into yogi squat. So hands can come to heart center. Again, only coming down as far as you feel comfortable. Maybe you only go part way down, and that's fine. If you can come all the way down and that feels accessible to you, feel free to do that. If you need to adjust your footing, bring them closer or further apart, feel free to do that as well. And once you get into a comfortable position, sit up tall, maybe allow the elbows to find the inner legs. And while you're here, we do have the block handy. If you need a little extra support, you can always place the block maybe behind the rolled up blanket to support your sit bones. Okay, so we're going to stay here for a couple breaths. with or without the block. Checking in with the body. How easily is your breath flowing? Can it be more easeful, more gentle, more fluid? All right, so to come out of this, we're just going to rock forward onto our palms and walk ourselves out of this through the side. You can bring the knees closer together and just do a side-to-side motion with the hips. And then we're going to come down into seated. So have a seat on your mat. And we'll bring the right leg in. So the right foot in to meet the left thigh. We're going to flex the left toes up towards the ceiling. Nice big inhale to lengthen up through the torso. Left hand can rest on the top of the straight leg. Right hand can find the side body. So see if that right hand can slide back somewhat towards your spine. Okay, but rest it in that soft space between the ribs and the hips. Okay, and then as you exhale, slowly start to slide that left hand down the straight leg towards the foot, and then roll the right shoulder open, coming into a nice side bend, a QL stretch for the side of the body. So you should hopefully be feeling this right underneath that right palm. Option to grab onto the big toe with the peace fingers. If you're not feeling this still, you can bend that elbow and rest it on that straight leg. Relaxing the shoulders. And if you're still not feeling this at all, you can extend that right arm overhead. So wherever you're at, stay there for a couple breaths. This is a part of our body that just never gets that chance to fully relax. So we're giving it a little love today, allowing it to soften and to release. Maybe helping to create a little more space for that little human growing inside your belly. All right, and then to come out of this, use that left hand to support you, pressing into the ground or onto your straight leg to push you up. And then you can take a little twist towards the right. And maybe even a twist towards the left, just a reset. Remember, staying soft through the belly as you twist. And we'll go to the other side. So shake it out. Bring that left foot into the right thigh. Lengthen up through the torso, left hand to the side body. And right hand slides down the right leg towards the right foot. Roll that left shoulder open. Lengthen through the top of the crown. Maybe grabbing onto the big toe with the peace fingers. Maybe bending the elbow, resting it on the straight leg. And if at any time this feels like it's just a little bit too much, it's going past that 80% of your maximum, just back it off a little. So find the same variation on this side as you did on the other side, if it feels good. If it doesn't, it can look different. Sending some love to your left side body. You might even feel this all the way down into the hips. We're going to go just a little over today, I think. Usually prenatal classes that I teach are an hour and 15 minutes, so it feels awkward to try and shorten it so much by only giving you a half an hour of love. All right, and then same thing to come up out of this. Use helping hands to rise up. And then soft twist to one side, followed by a twist to the other side. All right, and then we're going to prepare for our relaxation pose. So first things first, if you are third trimester, or if you just feel like you are third trimester, if you have a bolster, we're going to prop that bolster up with a block. Okay, so you want this to be secure. So if you have, I would probably keep it flat just so that it doesn't fall down on you. You're going to be laying on this bolster. Okay, so prop it up just so you create a little bit of an incline. You have a nice little lazy boy happening, the top part of the lazy boy. And then if you have a second bolster, you don't need it, but if you have one, you can bring it down by the knees and then just set up your spine so that it meets the first bolster. So your spine, the tailbone, or the bottom of your spine is meeting the end of this first bolster. And the second bolster you can bring, you might need a lift up one leg at a time and slide it underneath the knees. Okay? And then slowly lay down. You can use your hands to help walk you down over the bolster. Bring your shoulders together. So if you are third trimester, just pay attention to any excess heaviness when you're on your back, any red flags, any, weird breath patterns, any lightness of the head. If that happens, then just roll onto your side, preferably your left side, but really any side will help. But if you're not feeling any of those sensations, this can be an amazing pose to close the practice with. We will come onto our side after a little bit of time here. So this helps to open the chest, gravity's melting, pulling at the shoulders to help open that chest, especially later in pregnancy, third trimester into the first month or so after baby's here. That's when the tissues of the breast become the most swollen, the most engorged, the biggest they've probably ever been. So this might feel really nice just to take some of the pressure off of the rounding that can start to happen at this point. Or if you've just been sitting at a computer, this might feel nice just to reverse the regular effects of gravity on your shoulders, and your back, and your chest. And then you can bring your feet, maybe the pads of the feet can come together and you can open the knees wide. If you want a little bit more of an opening through the hips and this isn't providing it, you can always just roll or kick that bolster away from you from underneath those knees while you're lying down and just allow yourself to come into the same position with the legs without the bolster. So it's up to you. We're going to stay here for a few moments. Option to keep the palms on the ground beside you. Or you can bring maybe a palm onto the belly and a palm onto the heart. Keeping the shoulders open, chest open. Sending some love to this beautiful new human growing within. If you aren't pregnant and you're practicing, maybe sending some love to your inner child, this place of innocence, of playfulness, of curiosity that exists within each of us. And then we're going to bring maybe the palms together, charging up the palms, creating some heat, activating them with some energy. And we can use the palms once they're nice and warm, direct them facing down towards the eyes and the forehead and the face, allowing their heat to melt down to the skin of your face and your forehead. Inviting in fresh new energy while flushing out any old stagnant energy that no longer serves you. Just let it go. Wash it away. And we're going to come to the side. So you can stay here for a while longer if you're still feeling good. But when you're ready to come to the side, plant your feet on the ground. You can do a little tick-tock from side to side with the knees. And we're going to rest on our side. So just roll onto the right or the left side. I'm going to do the right side because I want to face you. But by all means, feel free to go to the left side. And this is where a bolster, either one, will be handy to bring down for underneath that top leg. Okay. The other ones can get pushed away. You can use the bottom arm underneath the head as a pillow. That bottom leg can straighten while the top knee bends. And from the knee all the way down to the ankle, you have a resting place on your bolster or your pillow. Or you can bring, if you don't have a bolster, you can just bring both knees together into the fetal position. So yogi's choice. And then you can bring the palm onto belly, connecting with baby, sending him some light and some love. And this is a really good time to practice some down training. So preparing for the birth of your baby, starting to relax the pelvic floor. Notice if there's any gripping through the glutes or the inner thighs. And if that's the case, maybe you can find a way to release and relax those areas. And that'll help to facilitate the pelvic floor releasing and relaxing. Notice with each inhale and with each exhale, this area becomes softer, more supple, laying the foundation for a more easeful birth of your baby. You can stay here as long as you want. I encourage you to stay for as long as you comfortably can. And I'll leave you now, sending you some light and some love and all of the positive vibes I can possibly send your way. Thank you for joining me. Namaste.